First thing is a table is nothing more than just basically a grid where you can put and organize your data into. For example, we have our ghost hunting income for quarters 1 and quarter 2, and I'd like to put in within one cell, or within the grid as it were, Q1, and then next to it the numbers that were projected and what we actually got. So you can see how organized it can be. In fact, if you come over here and you click within this text box and hover over Insert Table, you can see that it is a grid. So to insert a table, you can do it one of a couple of ways. If you have your layout that actually has a text box that has the Insert Table, go ahead and click on it. It'll ask you, well, how many columns and how many rows do you want within your table? The default here is 5 by 2. How about if I just go ahead and do a 3 by 2 and click OK? There you go. I have 3 columns, 1, 2, 3, by 2 rows, 1, 2. If that works for me, I'll go ahead and leave it. If not, you can always click on the border of the table here, the border. When you get a 4-way arrow, hit the delete key and you're back to square one. Another way to insert a table is you can also come up here on the Insert tab to the table group and click on the table arrow here. And then as you come down, there's a 1 by 1 table, just one cell. And as you move over to the right, you're going to start adding columns. So you can see there's 2 columns, 3 columns, or a 3 by 1. And as I go down, there's 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows. And when I'm finished, all I have to do is click on that 3rd column, 4th row, click on it, and it's up. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on the border and delete it. It's actually best to have your layout where it includes an option for you to insert your table. And remember, to change your layout, you can right-click in a blank area on your table and go to Layout. You can select a blank slide, or again, come down here and you can see that this is my layout for this slide. I've got the title up here and I got a text box over here, and then all those little icons in that last box there is to insert movies, clip art, and also a table. So let me click off in a blank area and let me show you what happens, what it looks like if you don't have a slide that has a text box to include the table. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the border here of the text box and delete it, and then just go ahead and insert a table. When I click on Insert and I come down to Table Groups and click on the Table button, you see how it just plops it right in the middle of the cell? Because the previous layout was saying, look, if you insert a table or an image or a movie, I'm going to align it and keep it over to the right side of the table. That's why I like the layout, because it helps structure or balance my slide here when it comes to text and images, and in this case a table. So I'm going to go ahead and click off up here and hit undo. Come back here within my text box and click on Insert Table, and I'm going to do a 3 tab 3. I want a 3 by 3 and click OK. A couple things that happen. First, when I insert my table, you can see up at the top I've got 2 contextual tabs. One is for the design, which includes fancy colors and formatting. The other one is the Layout tab, which allows you to insert and delete tables, cells, merge cells, actually align within the cells either horizontally or vertically. And we'll cover that in just a second. But for right now, when I click inside the first cell, I can go ahead and start typing. So I want to do quarter. The name of that column is going to be quarter, and then below that I'll have quarter 1, quarter 2. I'm going to hit the tab key and it's going to take me to the next cell. And then I can go ahead and type in projected income, hit the tab key, and I want my actual income. Now when I hit the tab key, it's going to go to the first cell in the next row. Really nice. So there's Q1 for quarter 1, hit the tab key. What I actually got was $400, let's say $1,000 for quarter 1. Hit the tab key, and let's say what we actually got is $500K. Hit the tab key again in Q2. Keep increasing with our numbers here for ghost hunting. It's a very profitable business. Now when I come to the end of my table here and I want to add another row, well, there's a couple ways you can do it. If you just hit the tab key on the keyboard, it automatically opens up a new row. So I can go ahead and finish quarter 3 if it was for quarter 3. But remember, this is just for quarter 1, quarter 2, so I don't need quarter 3. But let's add a few more rows and I'll show you how to delete them. So if you just hit the tab key a couple of times here, or when in doubt, you can right click within the last row, come up here to Insert on your shortcut menu and say that you want to insert a row above or below the current row that your cursor is flashing in. So if I go above, it inserts the row actually above the last row that I was in. Or I can right click and say that I want to insert a row below. So it inserts a row below the row that I was actually in. Now you do have that on your Layout tab in the Rows and Columns group, where you have your Insert Above and also Insert Below. You also have your columns when you can insert to the left. What happened? When I click Insert to the left, it inserted 3 columns. Why didn't it just insert 1? It's because I had all 3 columns selected. Let me show you that again. Let me hit undo. You see how I had all 3 columns selected? Well, if I go ahead and click Insert, it's going to insert columns. It's going to insert it to the left 3 columns. So I just want to click in one column here, and it does matter which column that I want to click in, because if I click in this column, it's going to insert a column to the left of this in between quarter and projects. So let's go to the left, and there you go. Insert the right, inserts to the right of that. So I'm going to hit undo a couple of times, or we can delete this. The whole column is selected. I can delete it either by right-clicking that or coming up here in the rows and columns group, click on the delete and say I want to delete the column. Click in this column or right-click and say you want to delete the column, and then you can also select your rows and right-click that selection and say you want to delete your rows. Now it's collapsed on itself, hasn't it? So if I want to go ahead and stretch this out, just hover over the right middle handle and then click and drag and stretch it. Make sure that when you hover over it, your pointer turns into a two-way arrow, and then that allows you to click and drag to stretch it. Now, I do want the last row, but I don't want the text that's currently in there, so I can go ahead and click and drag and select that, and then hit the delete key on the keyboard. It doesn't delete the row, it just deletes the text that's within that row. And what I want to do is I want to go ahead and add some text that says, hey, great job for... Now you see what's happening? Because this cell doesn't extend longer than the actual width of the column, it starts wrapping on itself the text. So if I want to go ahead and have it extend and cover the whole row here, I can merge those cells. To merge cells, all you have to do is click and drag and select the whole row, or as many cells as you'd like to merge, either horizontally or vertically, because I could go ahead and select it vertically as well, but I don't want to merge that. I just want to be able to have this text be able to stretch across those three columns here. So I want to click and drag and select that whole row. Now before we do it, I want to show you the different options you have of selecting. Again, you can click and drag to select the whole row. If you notice when I hover over the left margin of any cell, I get this little black arrow. When I click on it, it selects the whole cell. There's the left margin, click on it, selects the whole cell. Click on it, click and drag, and I can go ahead and select the whole row. Or I can click anywhere in that row, come up to my layout tab and come over to the table group, and there's select, click on select, come down to row. I mean, that works too if you'd rather do that. Just know that when you click on the table, the border itself, the select option isn't available. You actually have to click within the table to pull up the select option. So again, I want to go ahead and click and drag and select the whole row because I want to merge all those cells together. I can do it one of two ways. I can either come up to the Layout tab in the Merge group and click on Merge Cells. The other thing you can do is if you have a merged cell, you can also split them back up. Same thing in the Merge group. Just click on Split and say, what do you want? How many columns? And I can go back to my 3 columns by 1 row and click OK, and I'm back to square one. But I want to go ahead and merge it, so I can right-click and left-click on Merge Cells, and there we go. Now what I want to do is go ahead and align it towards the center to make it look nice. So I'll come up here to the Layout tab, to the Alignment group. To align it horizontally, I'm going to go ahead and click the middle option there, and it looks pretty good. You notice also within the Alignment group you can align it vertically. It wouldn't make sense to really align it vertically because there's not much gap or spacing vertically between the rows. But I can open that up by hovering over the bottom middle handle here till I get my two-way arrow. Go ahead and click and drag and stretch your table out. I mean, that's huge. And then go ahead and I'll select my numbers here, click and drag, so I just select these cells here. And then come up to my Alignment group on the Layout tab and say I want you centered vertically within it, and then I can also do it in the middle horizontally here, so it's right smack in the middle here of the cell. Also, I can come up here and click and drag and select the top row here and say for the text in that top row I'd like you aligned to the bottom of your cells here, and click off here, and it looks pretty good, but doesn't look great. So I'm going to go ahead and hit undo a couple of times so I can go back to where I was. Or remember this, if it is centered in the middle and your undo doesn't work, well then just come up and look on your alignment group and then fix it and align it to the left or to the right or wherever it was originally. One final thing that I don't know if it's going to work for you, at least it's not going to work in my presentation because I like to format the layout the way it is, but you can actually insert images as background into the cell or into the table here. To do so, just go ahead and right click on any cell, come down and left click on Format Shape. And then what you want to do is up here in the fill category, come over here and say that you want to do a picture or text fill. You can do a file if you have an image somewhere on your computer, you can browse for it. You can do it from the clipboard if you pasted it, or in this case I want it to do clip art, so I'll click on clip art. Now keep in mind that this is searching on the internet because I have this little box checked, include content from Office Online. So if you have internet connection, go ahead and check that. And then what I want to do is I want to check for ghost, and then I'll click on go. Give it like a few seconds. You can see that the go changed to stop. It just means it's out there searching and it's taking time to bring it all up. I'll come down here, double click on the one that I like, click close, and let's see what it looks like. Yeah, see, it's fun, it's cool that I can do it, but it doesn't really fit the presentation here. I mean, nobody's going to see quarter one. Hey, go ahead and insert clip art if you want to hide your numbers if they're low, but mine are real high, so I'm okay with that. If you want to change it back, I mean, you can hit undo, but if you can't do that, then go ahead and right click on that cell again, go back down to Format Shape, come up here, you could select no fill, except when I select no fill, you see how it just totally takes the color out of it and I can see what's behind that cell? That's not going to work. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and do it to a solid fill, and it goes back to its default color here, which is a nice little shade here. I'm going to close out of that, and it looks good. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel, get notified of the latest videos, and for only $2 a month, you can have access to all my Microsoft Office training videos.